What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka All Fires Now. Last summer when Marvel Studios made the huge announcement that they were getting the band back together for the upcoming Avengers films reuniting the Russos with Robert Downey Jr., there was noticeably one member of the band absent. Stephen McFeely had returned, one half of the writing duo that did Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, but the other half, Christopher Markus, was noticeably absent. And although they got a majority of the band back together, you would hopefully want to reunite the exact same team if you were hoping to recapture that success. Well, finally we know why. Christopher Markus, in an exclusive, revealed why he did not return for the upcoming Avengers films, and quite honestly, it makes a lot of sense. We're going to go through the brand new breaking article and exactly what it said, why he didn't return, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. If you're into that kind of thing, hit the sub button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this broke about an hour ago in an exclusive from an editorial called The Playlist. Under the headline, Christopher Markus explains why he is not part of Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars movies exclusive, where they go on to report, quote, "The creative team behind Electric State is a foursome you might know. Directors Joe and Anthony Russo and screenwriters Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely, the quartet behind the second highest grossing film of all time in Avengers Endgame and the sixth highest grossing film of all time in Avengers Infinity War. The group is also behind production of the company Agbo, which produced The Electric State, The Gray Man, Extraction franchise, and more." They continue by reporting, quote, "But when the fine print came in for last summer's announcements, it was revealed that only Stephen McFeely was returning to write the pair of Avengers films, and Christopher Markus was not. Fans wanted to know why the full force of the Dream Team wasn't returning for the next Marvel dramas, and we found the answers. The reasoning? Opportunity, choice, taste, and to a lesser degree, creative obligations. Though let's not make much of the latter, it's all his personal choice. Christopher Markus said this, quote, "Magic, it's a simple fact of opportunity, really. When we started Agbo, part of the imperative was, let's look for things to adapt or ideas of our own. And by luck or preference, I wound up with a whiteboard full of things. 2 series of books that we had optioned, a spec script, and about 3 or 4 other ideas, and a TV pilot to be written. And all this was prior to all that avenging coming on the horizon. But I got to the point where I was like, look, I need to grow these plants or they're going to die," he explained. And Marvel is very extremely full-time. And so I just said, let's everybody be under the understanding that this is what I'm going to do, because these movies need a brain on them. They need a guide, and I love them. So when it came to avenging time, I mean, you don't avenge part-time. You don't do anything at Marvel part-time. That's a years-long commitment. So they pressed him. Would you do some unofficial consulting? Would you check what's cooking in the lab from time to time? And he said, nope. Quote, "I'm not doing anything with Marvel right now because, one, they know what they're doing. And also, it was just like, well, these things will die, and I've got a pilot at Netflix, a pilot at Amazon. I've got 9 books that need to be turned into a masterpiece, and you just make the choice at some point to say, I've done that. I haven't done that. I think right now, I'm going to do the thing I haven't done, which is the thing that keeps you alive and sparking as a creator." Now look, I think that this answer on face value, to any artist who's been there and done that and moved on to something else, it's like Andre dropping flute albums at this point. When you've just climbed the highest hill and achieved it, there's this want to say, well, I want to move on from that. And it's not like he doesn't have options. He's actually maybe harder at work than he's ever been. And so when Marvel came up to go ahead and join this Avengers team, it's like, wait a minute, that's looking in the rearview mirror. I don't want to do it. Personally, I think what he didn't say, and would just apply in any case because of how much the Russos have expressed this sentiment, there's still got to be some part of that, a mix in his head that says, look, I don't want to screw up what we already accomplished. Like, you already did it. Isn't it even harder to come back? And on top of that, isn't it even harder to come back and live up to what we already had? And I think there's got to be some of that at play. But, you know, you can take his answer at face value. Any artist who's done this and just moved on certainly doesn't want to look in the rearview mirror, and if he feels like his heart isn't in it, well, he's definitely earned the right to turn that down. Now, how much of an effect is this going to have on the actual scripts themselves? It's really hard to say. You know, when you have writing partners in any respect, music, film, anything, it's the duo that can really make the magic. It's the two of them working together on their ideas that are being presented that can fuel each other, and I know what that's like in every respect. And so while you don't want to discount Stephen McFeely's ability to sort of craft these scripts on his own, you also have to think, and to some degree, that while not everybody's having equal impact at all times, their input is adding to the quality of the whole. And if it's just 4 of them, the 2 directors and the 2 writers, you're talking about a quarter being gone. 75% of the team that you need, and one huge piece just not being a part of the puzzle. That doesn't mean that the Avengers scripts are going to suffer. I think it just means that whatever Marvel was hoping with getting the exact same team back together, they didn't quite accomplish that. They are missing an integral piece, and it means I think also that these scripts will be different because of it. Better or worse, we don't know, but different for sure. But really, it's never mattered who writes or directs it. It's about getting the right story, and more importantly, not just being Infinity War and Avengers Endgame Part 2. You could argue that superhero movies overlap in a lot of areas and do have predictable beats to their action sequences and acts, and yeah, okay, so in that respect, they'll probably be similar. But if they just feel like Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where everybody loses at the end of Infinity War and undoes everything in Endgame, then they're essentially just going to be the exact same films, and nobody wants that, especially not the fans, but the Russos have acknowledged that too. That is not just trying to do Infinity War and Avengers Endgame all over again, it's trying to do very different films. And the reason I bring this up is that, again, it doesn't really matter who's writing it. I think that premise sort of pushes them into interesting space, because there's all this stuff in Infinity War and Avengers Endgame you specifically have to avoid. And I've brought this up in the past, especially at this most recent stream, and again, we'll have a watch party on Tuesday night for episode 3. I don't watch Marvel YouTube anymore, even my friends' channels and stuff, because it's so much easier to have your own idea and your fresh opinion when you haven't heard what other people have to say. And now we are right here with the Avengers scripts being written from the very same people who already wrote those scripts. So there is definitely, I think, maybe even a harder job in front of them. And again, I'm just going to take Christopher Markus at his word for the reasons that he gives. I'm going to lean into the things I haven't done because it's more interesting. But you also got to imagine that it might be harder than ever when you've already done Infinity War and Avengers Endgame to come back and try to top that, to do different films that are equally as good and exciting. I could imagine from anybody's standpoint not wanting to do that. Although, to be fair, and since I referenced it during this video, Andre should 1000% come back to rapping. He's my favorite lyricist of all time, and it's cool that he's doing flute albums. He can still do those, but hey buddy, if you're listening, man, let's go with a rap album, man. I mean, please, I'm begging you. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. And if you don't, go put on some Outkast. I can recommend some tracks down in the comments. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff, guys. We are still giving away PlayStations. The next one is right around the corner. All you got to do, be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content is hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name is Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at AmFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, under the name AllFires, and while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around, we'll be posting again real soon.